Persephone and the Pomegranate Seeds. In those early days, the weather was always warm and sunny. The flowers were always in bloom, the crops were always ready for harvest. The goddess Demeter tended the countryside like a garden, planting seeds, watering the green grass, encouraging the trees to put on first blossoms, then leaves, then fruit. And then Demeter worked. Her little daughter Persephone used to play in the green woods of Sicily, picking violets until her apron was full. When mother and child walked home hand in hand at the end of another sunny day, talking and singing and laughing together, the evening primroses opened just to watch them pass by. Pluto was not so lucky. Although he was a god, he did not live on the top of Mount Olympus in halls of clouds and sunlight, or on earth among trees and fields. Pluto ruled over the kingdom of the dead and lived under the earth in darkness and bitter cold. Not one ray of sunshine ever found its way down onto these echoing caverns and tunnels. But worse than either cold or dark was the loneliness. Pluto tried to find a wife, but nobody wanted to give up the sunshine, the flowers, or the glittering sea to live in Pluto's dismal kingdom beneath the ground. Sometimes Pluto would climb to the brim of the underworld and peep out at the girls and women playing in the sun. The bright light hurt his eyes, but the sight of all those pretty women hurt even more. One day he saw Persephone picking violets in her Sicilian wood. "That's the one," murmured Pluto. "How beautiful she is. Oh, she's the wife for me." But Pluto did not go to Demeter and ask to marry her daughter. He knew she would say no. Instead, he harnessed his black chariot and thundered out into the sunlight. Lashing his whip, he drove his horses on at full tilt. All Sicily shook at his coming, and his wheels felled trees to right and left as he raced through the woods. Holding the reins in his teeth, Pluto leaned out and snatched Persephone by her long hair. Her apron spilled all its violets. "Who are you? What do you want with me? Oh, let me go. Help me. Somebody. Mother, help me," she cried. The trees bawled after Pluto. "Come back. Leave her alone." Their green leaves flushed red with shouting, but Pluto took no notice as he raced back to his underworld. He struck out with his whip. The earth split open. A bottomless ravine gaped, and his chariot sped downwards. Down into the dark, down into the cold, he carried Persephone. "Don't cry," he told her. "I shall make you my queen. Be happy. I'll give you all the riches of the earth, gold and silver and gems. You have the love of a king. What more do you want?" "I want to go home. I want my mother," sobbed Persephone. When they reached the river Styx, which divides the earth from the kingdom of the dead, she cried out, "River, help me. I'm Persephone. Save me, please." The river heard her and knotted itself around the god's legs, almost tripping him, but Pluto kicked it aside like a dog. In despair, Persephone slipped off her belt of flowers and threw it into the tumbling water. "Take that to your mother and tell her," she pleaded. The river took her belt and hurried away. Then darkness closed in on all sides. Pluto had reached home with his captive wife. Meanwhile, up on the earth, Demeter came looking for her daughter at the end of the day. "Persephone, darling, time to go home." But there was no answer. Demeter called out and asked everyone she met, but it was hopeless. Persephone had simply disappeared. All Demeter's work was forgotten as she searched high and low for the child. Nothing mattered but to find Persephone. So the flowers wilted, the crops stopped growing, and as Demeter wept, the trees wept with her, shedding their leaves in brown and yellow tears. After searching the world over, Demeter returned to Sicily and sat down in despair beside a river. As she gazed at the water, what should come spinning by on the current but a little cord of flowers? "Persephone is in the underworld," whispered the water. "I saw her. Pluto has stolen away to be his queen." Then Demeter ran all the way to Mount Olympus and rattled at the gates of heaven. "Zeus, Lord Zeus, help me. Pluto has stolen my daughter. Make him give her back." Zeus listened to poor Demeter. "You say your daughter was taken by force? Pluto shouldn't have done that. But there again—" "Oh, Zeus," she interrupted him, "if I don't have my daughter back, how shall I go on decking the earth with flowers and fruit? I only do it out of joy, and without Persephone, there is no joy for me. Let the earth wither and die for all I care." Zeus shivered at the thought. The little people on earth would quickly stop paying tribute to the gods if their crops stopped growing and their trees died. "It's not up to me," he said gruffly. "There are rules. If Persephone eats anything while she's in the underworld, she cannot come back up to earth. That's the rule." "Then what are you waiting for?" said Demeter. "Send your messenger this instant." And though Zeus sent Hermes, fastest flying of all gods, Demeter sped away ahead of him that day, pulling on his sleeve, begging him to hurry. Meanwhile, below the earth, Pluto laid in front of Persephone a delicious feast. He knew that what she did not, that if she ate one mouthful, she must stay with him forever. I'm too miserable to eat, sobbed Persephone. Let me go. Why don't you let me go? It's so dark and gloomy here. Pluto no longer thought his kingdom was dark or gloomy. Now that Persephone sat on a throne beside his, it seemed bright and cheerful. Hosts of ghosts came streaming through the darkness to gaze at his new bride. Pluto was very happy indeed. But you must eat, my dear, just a little something. He held up a dish of limes, an almond cake, a cup of broth, tempting her to eat. I'd rather die than eat your food, said Persephone, even though she was very, very hungry. Just a little taste. Pluto held up half a pomegranate, all red and juicy, smiling with seeds. He forced open her fingers and sprinkled 12 seeds into her palm. Oh, and she was so very hungry. For days she had sat and pined, hoping her mother might find her. But her mother did not come and did not come. Persephone was too hungry to think. She lifted the seeds to her lips. Stop! Hermes, messenger of the gods, came skimming through the earth in his winged sandals. Noble Pluto, Zeus the Almighty commands you to let Persephone go, or am I too late? He looked at the feast laid out in front of the two thrones. Yes, you're too late, crowned Pluto. No, what do you mean? Cried Persephone. 6 little pomegranate seeds fell from the palm of her hand. Have you eaten any of these? Demanded Hermes. Persephone burst into tears. She has, cried Pluto triumphantly. She's mine forever. Only a few, pleaded Persephone. What difference does it make? Pluto, you're a rascal, said Hermes. You should have told her. I'm sorry, Persephone. There's a rule, you see. You have accepted Pluto's hospitality, eaten his food, so now you must stay here forever. And I hate you forever, Pluto, cried Persephone, because you tricked me. When she said this, even Pluto turned a little pale. He loved Persephone and wanted her to love him in return. I only stole you away because I was so lonely, he said, hanging his head. Hermes felt sorry for them both. Let Zeus decide, he declared. When Zeus heard what had happened, he thought long and hard before making his judgment. Finally, he declared, because Persephone ate 6 of the 12 pomegranate seeds, let her live here for 6 months of every year in the kingdom of the dead. For the other 6 months, let her live with her mother on the earth, and let no one argue with the judgment of Zeus. And that is why in the summertime, the flowers bloom, the grass is green, and the trees wear blossoms, then leaves, and fruit. Demeter, you see, is rushing happily here, there, tending the earth like a garden. When she and her daughter walk hand in hand, talking and singing and laughing, the evening primroses open just to see them pass on by. But in the autumn, Persephone travels down to the underworld to keep her bargain with Pluto. First, she learned to pity him, then she learned to love him, and now the underworld is much brighter and warmer during the 6th winter month. But up on earth, Demeter is missing her daughter. The trees flush red with calling Persephone's name, then drop their leaves. The flowers wither, the crops stop growing, and the earth and the people of the earth wait for Persephone to return with the spring.